Grace and peace and grace. Listen, so it's George Taylor here, metaphysician and author of Seven Hills Grow That Biz. Listen, so I just dropped a new ebook called The Nature of Light, a very phenomenal ebook. And I've pretty much used this ebook as a foundational course in my new school, my scholarly school. We got a beautiful school. It's premium education. We got premium products for premium people. Listen, I got something I can serve everybody. I can help everybody. But I'm really only going to be able to help the intellectual, because a lot of things you can't really teach. You have to help people discover these truths. So if that interests you, I need you to tap that link, hit that link, hit that link. Seven Hills Grow Biz. Never forget that name, never forget that brand. We're gonna go crazy. But this is an introduction to the nature of light. I really wrote this because I wanted to help people come to an understanding of a proper beginning. One of my favorite quotes is to progress is to begin again. So progress is always indicative of a beginning or proper beginning. A lot of times in relationships or in life, a lot of things end how they began. So if you need things to go right for you mentally, physically, spiritually, I always say that the key to life is mental fitness, spiritual fitness, and financial fitness. But to do that, you have to come up with a proper beginning. But anyway, I want to read you something. One of the most powerful kind of chapters or sections in this book. Now, I actually break this book and this reading down to what I call ideations. Why? Because this particular book that I wrote is to help you walk through, ideate through a thought process. It's not really meant for you to read and observe, and you'll see why here in just a second. All right, so simply put, guys, the vision behind this section is to literally give you vision. So I call this the triple gaze of the grandfather mind. And I'm trying to give you a perspective on vision. So listen to how I break this down. I break this down in tiers of three. Also, coincidentally, the mind is broken down to the superconscious mind, which is the mind of the divine, where the realm of ideals, the divine pattern. So when you think about a land of abundance and everything kind of being perfect, bricks of gold, those types of analogies. Store not up for yourself treasure on earth where moth and rust, but store up for yourself treasure in heaven, the heavenly, the godly, the divine. That's the super conscious mind. That's why you can go to sleep and you can see things in a more ideal fashion, and you can bring things out of the godly realm into the natural realm. Then you have the carnal mind. Okay, the conscious mind, where you see carnality, where you see sickness and death and pain. Then you have the subconscious mind, where you have just really, in a way, kind of chaos, misdirected energy. It's just a reservoir of power, but that power has to be directed into. Anyway, I'm just giving you some simple understandings of the departments of the mind, but this is specifically to give you perspective on vision. Once again, the triple gaze of the grandfather mind. The mature soul sees from three perspectives: the observer, the observed, and actor. I could go into that, but listen, the observer, observed, and actor. This is a way when you're in a situation, remember you're acting. Most of us look at the I, the ego part of it. I don't really like that word sometimes, but you're the actor. But remember to observe yourself and be observed at the same time. Let's break it down. This trivision lifts one above illusion. So why do I give you this perspective? I'm trying to lift your mind above illusion. We need to see things for what they are and not for what we think them to be. We don't want to see things with the carnal mind. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, as you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is a reasonable service. But be ye not conform to this world. Be ye not conformed to carnality, but be transformed by renewing of your mind. How do we do that? The trivision. The grandfather mind knows the truth and it withholds it wisely. My point with that is sometimes in a grandfather aspect, your grandfather may see a situation, he knows exactly what's going on. He's not going to tell you. He has no need to tell you because you need to grow up. He knows that at this particular time you're in carnality. You'll come home when it's necessary, or maybe you won't. So it sees the unity. The grandfather mind sees the unity between eternal, present, and temporal knowledge. So I want to say something. That's wisdom. What's wisdom? George, what's wisdom? Seeing the unity between the eternal, present, and temporal knowledge. Anyway, and those who master this equilibrium rise above time. They become generational voices of wisdom. So I'll break this down into three facets: the literal, the allegorical, and anagogical. So literally is just the actor, it's earthly. The question, what must I do? Okay. The allegorical is the question, what does this represent? The anagogical is the question of how does this align with the one? So it's a so So from the super conscious mind, you're thinking about the overall womb, the overall oneness of life. For example, when you see somebody treat you the wrong way, and you hear verses or you hear things like turn the other cheek or such and such or walk in love, what that's actually alluding to is remember to not always look at things so carnal, but see things in their most ideal format. Another way of thinking about this is could even be child development. We're all just kid. Most people who are hurtful are people who had attachment issues or they went through things when they were a child. And so, but my point with that is you consider things about them as a child because you're considering the overall oneness of life. Does that make sense? And I could go further and further into that, but you guys got to join my school at Seven Hills, Grow That Biz. A lot of these things you'll understand by and by. I really harper and stand on the basics, and a lot. I have so much truth that there's so much spirit of God that'll come through me. It takes time, and I speak on the truth in many different ways. In this particular facet, I'm talking about a tri-vision. I'm talking about the mind. I'm talking about wisdom that links the present, the eternal and temporal knowledge. And I'm talking about a actual framework of how to look at that, literally, allegorically, and anagogically. Okay. As the observer, the observed, so the earthly, the intellectual, and then eternal. And these are just things, but these things are high, this is high wisdom, guys. So let me read this. The facet here, the serpent is no longer just a reptile, it is a symbol of the nervous system of hitting cycles and a descendant of a spirit into matter. Some of these things I'm not gonna speak on some of this, guys. You guys gotta book a consultation. The facet, the anagogical. At this level, there is no other. The serpent, the dove, the wolf, and the sheep are all movements of the divine intelligence. You read the text to find your own pulse. Let me go back to the literal. This is the surface level where we see the law as a rule of conduct. It is the realm of cause and effect. When you read wise as a serpent, the actor sees the tactical mandate for survival and shrewdness in business. So what I did there is, I don't know if you guys know this, but the ancient serpent culture is very old and indigenous. It predates the Bible, it predates a lot of different things. Um, and when scripture talks about being wise as a serpent, soft as doves. So this particular reading, yeah, I just broke down for you guys in that particular motif, in that particular spectrum. And why? I actually chose to do that because our ancient ancestors chose to use the serpent. But my point in bringing that up is you will see by and by, time and time, that I have some wise people in my group and enlightened ones, and we often talk about a lot of these things aren't names, they're titles. Um, and the point of it not being necessarily a name and a title is the information flows through these things and presents its face in that particular way at that time. Just like if you said justification, sanctification, glorification, I'm getting off track, but I'm proving my point, or seed time harvest, or precipitation, condensation, evaporation. Does that make sense? These cycles and these systems are overall ways for the truth of nature and the essence of life, of soul, of spirit, of womb, of Ivri, of Ma'at, to present herself to us through the creative imagining faculty of the mind. I'm gonna stop there. Seven Hills Grow That Biz, okay? Premium education for premium people. I got something to help and to serve everybody, but I can really only help the intellectual. Once again, I'm George Taylor, a metaphysician from Lynchburg, Virginia. Okay, and what do? I simply reconcile people to nature and her laws. Tap in, tap in. I love you. I love you. Peace and grace. Grace and peace.